In today's episode, we're going over how to build the respect of your patients in the larger physical therapy community with Mike Reinold. So, one basic human need is to feel like you're personally valued by the people around you, community, and largely the rest of the world. And I think as a young individual, generally speaking, you spend the majority of your time trying to do this. I don't think it's any different from a physical therapy perspective. Folks get into physical therapy because they want to help individuals. They like orthopedic injuries. But I think the other thing is that people still are going to want to be valued and respected, not only from their patients, your larger community that you're a part of. So for physical therapists, obviously that's a larger PT community. Today, I'm interviewing Mike Reinold, and Mike has done a tremendous job over the course of time building the respect of his patients, but also the larger physical therapy community. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little about how he got to where he is today and how he's been able to be so successful.
Mike, what's up? Thanks for joining me today.
Hey Dan, thanks again for having me to continue the conversation, man. Always fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Got another question for you. And this one to me is very interesting. And to be honest, I think where you're at professionally is something that a lot of folks really desire, but I think oftentimes they don't really even fully understand why. One of the reasons that I think that you've been so successful in everyone else's eyes is because you have a lot of respect, right? And this is going to be in a lot of different communities, right? So at Champion, your business, you have a lot of respect from your employees and from your patients, right? And then you have a lot of respect from your online presence. Okay. So that's going to be individuals. We see a ton of folks that come in, for treatment every day of the week that have found you online, that have been profoundly impacted by you and have a lot of respect for you. Right. And then the larger physical therapy community, basically. So people know who Mike Reinold is, and they have a great deal of respect for what you've done over the course of time. Right. And when we think about a successful career, right, and then also happiness in life, one of the biggest things is having the respect of your peers and the people around you. And I think you've done a really good job of that. And I know this is a big question. We'll kind of break it up into smaller chunks. But how do you feel like you've gone about building this respect? And then what kind of advice would you give to other clinicians to help to start build this?
I love it. Well, first thing is very clear: smoke and mirrors. That is the most important aspect of any of this. But
A lot of lies, bait and switch, all the classics.
exactly right. Once you get to know me, you realize the truth. No, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, because you're one of those people, obviously, that it means so much to hear those, coming from somebody like you. That obviously we you're in each of those buckets that you just said, right? As like a peer, as an employee, technically, as somebody that I've taught in the past, right? Like you've been a student of mine and everything. So I appreciate the kind words and hearing that. I don't know the exact answer as to how you get there, other than you just put your head down, you work, and you just create experiences, right? So if you look at my career, it's very hard, to find one thing specific. But I think when you put it all together, you're like, oh, this guy, he treated outpatient ortho for, decades with high volume and, kick butt. Oh, he works with pro athletes. Oh, he does research. Oh, he's published. Oh, he has a textbook. Oh, he speaks at APTA meetings. He does, you know what I mean? So to me, I think it's, you build the respect by essentially doing the work, right? So, you can't have a shortcut. You can't just go on Instagram and have like a really killer page and have the entire PT world respect that. Some people love that, and some people respect the heck out of that. But some people won't respect you unless you're published, right? Or you've had a faculty position, or you've worked in pro sports if you're a sports PT, right? So I would say that my respect has just come through my experiences. Is that, I've never proclaimed that I'm better or smarter or anything else, but I do have experience, right? So, if you were to ask me a question about like a training room, in a training room situation for a professional baseball team, I've been there, I've done that, right? A lot of people look up to that and they want to do that. If you ask me about, conducting a research study and getting published in a journal, I've been there, I've done that. Like a lot of people look up to that, right? So I think I've hit a lot of different components where I have some built up credibility, maybe false credibility, right? So, but like, you know what I mean? Like just built up credibility just because I've had those opportunities to do it. I don't know. What do you think? Does that seem accurate? I mean, you're the one that respects me.
Well, I don't know. It's pretty funny because I think what's popular right now is kind of, I don't know, I'm going to sound antiquated at this point, right? Is this idea of work-life balance, A lot of folks are trying to get that right out of school. And I respect that. I understand that. And I've, been on the verge of burning out / have burned out, mini burnouts here and there. What do we want to call it, right? But it does seem like that one factor that really pushes you maybe a little bit more than anything else is hard work and being
Right.
in the trenches and having that experience, I understand that. And you've even said this. I know you talked to Dave Tilley about this because he's like absolute madman, right? It's just like a little crazy what he accomplishes all the time, right? And he's
Right.
like, I don't know, he did like a ridiculous amount of stuff in his 20s. So have you, but he's kind of
Yeah.
progressing through his career. And then maybe at this point, it's like, okay, let's think about all this hard work. Are we moving in the right direction? We're heading toward a catastrophe where we're going to blow up, right? But that's the opposite side of the spectrum, right?
Right.
And, I agree with you. I think for a lot of folks that are just starting off their career, one of the best opportunities you have is just to put your head down and work, right? And I think that people really value that because no one likes to work that hard. Really, I shouldn't say that. Hard work is valuable, but for a lot of
Right.
folks, it's a lot easier not to travel, put yourself in uncomfortable positions, put your head down, not make any money for what you're doing, right? Taking
Right.
crap from folks that don't respect you in the beginning, putting the hours, putting the effort, that's not the most fun, but I think people really value folks that do that because they understand the effort. And then you glean so much valuable information and experience from that, right?
Right. Yeah.
For a really good example, and this is a weird niche, is that you run an online business, right? And you do it in physical therapy. And running an online business 10 or 15 years ago is like not even a thing, right? And very few people really did this. And then people who did this in the physical therapy world, there's like nobody, right?
Right.
But you pretty
Right.
much put your head down and figured it out, right? You did all of the hard work from the very get-go. And now there's a ton of people that are trying to get into that space and there's very limited knowledge on how to do it well, right? But there's this guy over here, Mike Reinold, who actually went through the whole process of figuring out, and he actually is
Right.
successful, which I think is an important point when you're trying to emulate folks, right? You want to pick the
Right.
people who have been successful by the metrics you feel are important, right? So
Right.
if you have 1 million Instagram followers, doesn't always mean you can support your family with that business, right?
Right.
But I think you've done a tremendous job of doing that. And to your point, that hard work has led to you to have this incredible influence where people are like, wow, he has this really niche information knowledge that no one else has. And the reason being is you put in years and years and years of work to
Right.
get there, right? So guys, if you like what you're learning about so far, then I want you to go and check out the Fitness Pain-Free Mini Course. So I made a mini course. It's absolutely free. That's the next logical step if you want to learn more from me. So in the course, we go over 5 lessons. That first lesson is how traditional schooling has failed us, right? So schooling is phenomenal from a physical therapy perspective, but doesn't really teach you how to work with high-level athletes in the fitness world, right? Doesn't always teach you how to do the lifts appropriately. Doesn't teach you about progressions and regressions of common lifts within the gym. Doesn't teach you how to program normally, how to write rehab programs, or how to write injury prevention programs for these folks. Next thing we go over, 7 reasons why people get hurt in the gym, 4 simple steps to getting your clients out of pain, how to build the career of your dreams and earn the respect of your community. It's all well and good if you know exactly how to work with folks within the gym. But if you can't get these folks through the door on a regular basis, then you're simply not going to be living the dream that you want to because you can't get the patients through the door that you want to work with. Okay. So I'll show you how to do that. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit about the Fitness Pain-Free certification, right? So I'll leave a link in the show notes. I definitely recommend checking this out. Once you sign up for the Fitness Pain-Free Mini Course, you will be automatically placed in the waitlist for the Fitness Pain-Free certification. Now, the Fitness Pain-Free certification is the course, the certification that I wish I had as a new grad that fills in all the gaps in knowledge that you don't get in physical therapy school. So A, you'll gain complete confidence working with injuries in the strength and fitness world. You'll learn optimal technique for both health and performance from myself and some of the best coaches in the world. You'll master programming for rehabilitation and injury prevention. Have fun while earning a whole bunch of physical therapy and physical therapy assistant credits. You have 31.5 of those. You'll also gain NSCA credits as well as CrossFit credits if you need those. This is the equivalent of a university education in working with injuries in the weight room. I really believe that. I've been adding to this thing over the past 5 or 6 years. It's massive, a ton of phenomenal information. And lastly, the biggest goal is just to fill your day with the patients you love working with and building the respect and admiration of the communities you love working with. So I'll leave a link in the show notes. Sign up for the Fitness Pain Free Mini Course. The certification is open 4 times per year for 1 week to enroll into. If you're on the wait list by signing up for the Fitness Pain Free Mini Course, I'll alert you when that next enrollment period is open and you can get started. Let's get back to the show now.
Absolutely, right. And I was very fortunate to have mentors that taught me that. Directly, indirectly, I don't even know that answer, but Kevin Wilkes, a great example. Dr. James Andrews. I mean, my two biggest mentors. I started my career off working underneath them, and they're madmen, you could argue, right? I mean, Dr. Andrews is grinding 12 hours a day in the clinic in the operating room. He's covering a high school football game on Friday night. He's covering the Auburn and Alabama games on Saturday. I don't know how you do both, right? And he's covering the Redskins game on Sunday, right? You know what I mean? Like it's you learn that, but then you work next to him and you realize he's got patients in 5 rooms, and then the athletic trainer for like the Dodgers calls him on his phone and he like answers and talks for he moves on. It's that work ethic that you see, right? But man, I wish people could spend a day with Kevin and I, 20 years ago, where we're treating 20 patients in the morning before we have to like fly to the airport, and we're sprinting through an airport with a duffel bag of carousels of slides, and we're missing our flight, and then we're getting in late, and then you know what I mean, like then the hotels mess it, right? I wish people see like the things that it takes to like go through that, but I was fortunate to have those as mentors, and I just learned that was the way. Right. And I was also, I moved to Alabama, right? Like, what am I didn't have a huge friend set when I first moved there. So it was just like, okay, I'm just going to grind. You do that, and then you start working in pro sports, and it's a 24/7 job. So when that phase of my career ended, I was totally used to working 24/7, right? And you just get used to it a little bit. I think you guys are all seeing that I'm slowing down, right? I think which is a good thing. But you still know me, right? Like you know that I probably golf more than most humans, right? But you also know that I'm up at 5 o'clock and I do more between 5 and noon than most humans too, right? So it's like it's this never ending grind that like you just have to make it a way of life. But if you're not happy and it's not leading to the results you want them to lead, then yeah, then it's a nonsense grind, right? That's why people start and stop Instagram accounts all the time, is because it's not leading to anything. And they're like, well, this is a lot of work for no reason.
Yeah. And I think it's unfair for me to say that, I understand your situation, but when you are at the clinic and maybe you're swinging your golf club a little bit, I know that that's not your life. You,
Right.
I think maybe some of the students that don't know you well may feel that way, right? Or folks
Right,
that maybe
right.
some of the patients that don't see this grind or know, with the rest of your days, like maybe they feel that way. But I mean, just to break it down, you run Champion, right? You work in pro sports. You're not in Waltham right now, right? You're
Right.
traveling,
Yeah, I'm in a
right?
hotel room, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a family, right? Which is a lot of time and effort in and of itself. Treat patients still, and you run an online business. So just all of those things, just lining those up, it doesn't matter how lax you want to say you are. You've got a lot of
Right.
stuff to manage, right? So
Right.
um,
Right.
I know you're saying you do cut back a bit, but there's still a lot of work to be done, obviously, like you said.
Right. Right.
I do want to
But if
break
you
these
look
things
though,
down. Go ahead.
sorry. No, I was gonna say, I mean, if you just look though, I mean, I happened to luck out, or maybe this is intentional. I don't know. It's like when you put the pieces together, where like say I'm gonna take like a new role. So like, the president of the, American Academy of Sports PT, right? It's a very asynchronous role, right? Where, you know what I mean? Like I can work on those projects at odd times throughout the day. If being the president of the sports academy required me to be present from like 10 a.m. to 12 noon every day, then I would be able to do it, right? Because we have other things. So I also was just fortunate that I was able to put those pieces together that fit naturally. You know what I mean? So, it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle with how you fill your tasks, and you have some things that are asynchronous, some things that are service based that requires your presence, and some things that are more leadership based and visionary, where you outline a vision and then let people run with it. So, it's just about putting yourself in that position and just making sure that the grind, the things that you have, complement one another. And I think that's an important thing too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna try to put some of this together. You've gone over so much good stuff. I'm gonna add something too, just because I think this is
Love it.
important that you covered in the last podcast. Is that
Right.
you found a niche, you found something you were already good at, and you went really deep with that, and then you worked extremely hard, and then you also took up every opportunity that popped up, right?
Right. Yep.
So you went deep, you put in the effort, and then you made yourself kind of do the things that were uncomfortable. Like you said, you would have a huge day treating, and afterwards you try to hop on a plane and miss it because you had so much going on, which that's incredibly stressful. No one wants that in their life at
Right.
all. Who wants to do that?
Right.
Have a really hard day followed by a really hard deadline that's going to be missed, and then you have to figure it out. That sounds atrocious, right? No one wants to go down that, but you did do that, and you did that for years and years, it sounds like. And the other piece is that you found some mentors to help bring you up, right?
Right.
And I feel like you've kind of embodied that whole spirit that maybe Dr. Andrews had at the time, which he seems like he still has. I just don't know the guy, right?
Right. Right.
Where yeah, you're trying to serve others, right? Sounds like he is working extremely hard, but he's doing it in a way to help folks, right? So the
Right.
reason why he sees so many folks is because he can help so many people, and then he's available to give guidance, right, to folks that really need it. And then on the weekends, he's also giving his time to help more. And I feel like if that's what you're doing, how could people not like you and find you influential and being, a really good role model to look up to, right? That's kind of wild.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Dr. Andrews, the same kind of concept, right? He's like super super busy, but then the Redskins are like, "Hey, do you want to do the Redskins?" He's like, "Well, you know what? My Sundays are free, so sure." Right? It was one of those things where it worked, right? You can't cover, three NFL teams at the same time, right? But like it's just the way you put it together. So it's fulfilling, right? I think we get into a service based industry because we like to help people, and I would say I like helping patients as much as I like helping other physical therapists get better at what they do too. So it's really about serving, anybody, to be honest.
Yeah. And I really think that's a mindset, because it is kind of easy to get stuck in the mindset of being overburdened. Unfortunately, that is in healthcare, right? And I think you're a special type of person, so you see things a little bit differently than most. But if you're overburdened trying to care for everyone, then you start
Right,
getting jaded, right? And
right,
then your
right.
mindset flips from it's kind of cool that I get to help all these people to this is terrible. I hate this. It's too much stress, and I don't care about anyone,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, you start thinking about, I need to care about myself more than others sometimes, right? But yeah, I think you have to be careful. And you talked about work life balance at the beginning of this year. Like, you got to realize that it's very rare that you have work life balance every day. What you're going to find with your life is that there's ebbs and flows, right? And you're going to grind for a few months, and then you're going to say, like, all right, you know what, I got to focus on a couple other things for a couple weeks, and kind of build. So I tend to look at my year every year, like quarterly, and kind of say, like, what do I want to get done this quarter, right? And I started doing this a little bit more now, because if you finish that and you get done, you build in a little break. But if I finish the project I wanted to finish that quarter and I'm done early, why proceed to the next quarter, right? At this point, I already wrote down everything I wanted to do for the year. Like, all right, I'm going to take a few week break. And I've personally found, everybody's different, but work life balance ebbs and flows in more cycles than it does, daily, maybe even weekly, right? But you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm like you in the sense that I enjoy what I do, and I'll get so far ahead. I'm like, awesome, I'm killing it, and then I don't slow down. I'm like, I got more time. Let's do more stuff. And then, this happened recently. You know about this? I got in a car accident. My wife went blind for a little bit. A pipe burst in her house. Like, Luke was sick. It was like a big mess all at once. And I'm like, the hell am I doing with my life? There's like zero space for anything else.
Well,
Um,
I laugh because the way you just said it sounds real terrible, but I know that the outcomes have been good. So in retrospect, we're laughing about that, but your listeners may be like, wait, what did you just say?
yeah.
uh, but that's actually a good point though, Dan. Like, if you don't have some buffer in your life. If you overbook everything, that's how overworkers tend to get burnt out a little bit, is that you have to expect the unexpected. And as you get older, there's more and more unexpected. You see now, you're a parent now, right? You have these other responsibilities, right? You expect the unexpected. You have this epic day plan of getting all this work done, and then your kid's sick and you have to stay home, and then your wife goes blind, like you said, right? Like, these things happen, right? You have to expect the unexpected, and you have to build in that little buffer, so that way, you'll be okay. But then the other thing you got to realize is, like, look, the world's not going to end if you don't get that project done that you've been really working on. Like, you'll be fine. Things will be fine you'll get it done when you're ready.
But what am I going to tell my Instagram account when they don't see that post? Well,
you have to do that post and say that
hitting.
you're gonna, hey guys, I'm gonna take a 36-hour break from Instagram.
Oh, man. Good times. Great. Well, thank you very much, Mike. I think there's going to be a lot of value in this podcast for the listeners. I definitely recommend all the listeners here check out Mike's website, MikeReinold.com, to do some more learning for sure. He has phenomenal courses. Still releases a great newsletter. I definitely recommend signing up for that. I know email is not as popular as it once was, but create something I actually enjoy reading every week, which is rare nowadays. And on top of that, where else can people find you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'm easy to find. I'm all over social media, so whatever platform you like the most, I try to share a bunch of my content out there. A couple of podcasts now for those that like podcasts. So yeah, just head to MikeReinold.com and you'll find all my stuff. It'll be great. Thanks, Dan.
All right, thank you, Mike. So guys, that is it for the lesson today, but that is not it for your learning. So when you graduate as a physical therapist, sometimes you're not in your dream job, and I get it. It takes a lot of effort to work in the population you want and really look forward to the patients that you see every single day. So I made a lesson for you. It's another fitness pain-free show. It's called 5 Steps to Earning the Respect of Your Community and Building the Career of Your Dreams. We'll just dive deep on this subject so you can start working with the population that you love. This way, every single Sunday, you won't have the Sunday scaries because you don't want to go into work Monday morning because you got a whole bunch of patients on your panel that you don't feel like working with. Let me show you how to track the population that you love working with. So every single day you love your life, right? And you love your work. So go ahead and click on this link above and get started on that lesson. That is it for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Lastly, thank you so much for your support. You truly allow me to do what I love for a living. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button. Comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Am I missing anything? I would love to hear your comments on this. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're listening to the podcast version of this video, please leave me a positive rating and review. It helps me out tremendously. If you want to go that extra step and support me further, please consider subscribing to Fitness Pain-Free Insiders. It's a comprehensive educational resource and toolkit for the fitness and rehab professional. Think Netflix, but for trainers and physical therapists. It's premium content from me. I update this every month. I've been doing it for the past 5 years. It's an absolute ridiculous amount of information. You've got over 100 webinars, ebooks, and complete guides. You have access to a private Facebook group to have all your questions answered by me. You can decide some upcoming podcast topics. I'd love to answer questions that you have. So you get started for $1 for a week trial. After that, it's $12.99 per month, right? Dirt cheap. It is a no-brainer if you want to try to learn more from me. So I'm going to leave a link in the show notes. You can check that out. You can also head to fitnesspainfree.com, click on the programs link, and click on Fitness Pain-Free Insiders Online Library to get started. All right. You won't be disappointed.